Question 37. The Real Good Cinema is conducting a mathematical study. In the theater, there are 200 seats. Adult tickets cost $12.50. Child tickets cost $6.25. The cinema's goal is to sell at least $1,500 worth of tickets for the theater. Write a system of linear inequalities that can be used to find the possible combinations of adult tickets X and child tickets Y. Okay, key things. Adult tickets are X, child tickets are Y. So they're telling me I have to use X and Y, so that's what I have to use. A system means two or more, but we always use two. Inequalities means we're not using equal signs, we're using our greater than signs or less than signs. That's what we're using instead of an equal sign. So that's what we're looking for here. So let's see what's going on. The first piece of information that they gave me is that there's 200 seats. Well, that means I can't sell 210 tickets because I've got 10 people with no seats. So if I take my tickets and just add up the number of tickets, it has to be less than or equal to 200 because every ticket represents a person. Every person needs a seat. Notice this has nothing to do with money. This is just the different tickets have to be less than or equal to 200. My second inequality is where all the money comes in. Every adult ticket is $12.50. So $12.50x plus all the children's tickets are $6.25, and I want to sell at least 1,500. That means if I have 1,500, at least, that's the lowest amount of money I want. More is good, so greater than or equal to. So that's your system of inequalities. The next part, graph the solution to this system of inequalities on the set of axes on the next page. Label the solution with an S. Okay, so on the next page, I've got my graph. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy these on the top. X plus Y less than or equal to 200. And I've got 1250X plus 625Y greater than or equal to 1,500. So those are the inequalities I have to deal with. In order for me to graph these, I have to get them in Y equals. So I'm going to subtract X from both sides. Y is less than or equal to negative X plus 200. Over here, I also have to solve for Y. So I'm going to subtract 1250 from both sides. Excuse me, 1250X. And I've got 625Y is greater than or equal to negative 1250X plus 1,500. Okay, so now my next step here is I have to divide both sides by 625, which means everything gets divided by 625, 625. Everything has to get divided. Y is greater than or equal to, if I look at my calculator, negative 1250 divided by 625, negative 2x plus 1,500 divided by 625, 240. Now I have two inequalities. To get the points for these, I can use my calculator. So on my calculator, I'm going to do the first one, negative x plus 200. It's an inequality, so I have to decide for myself, am I using a solid line or a dotted line, and where do I shade? I've got to do that on my own, but at least I can get the points from my calculator. I'm going to go to the table. When x is 0, y is 200. Luckily, they've labeled my graph for me, so when I'm plotting my points, when x is 0, y is 200. There's my first point. If you look at your x-axis here, the glare, my x-axis is going up by tens, so I'm going to scroll down. When x is 10, y is 190. So 10, and then I want to go up to 190, and I'm right there. Now I'm going to scroll down to 20. Oops. So I've got 20, and then y is 180. So at 20, y is 180. Right there. So now I think we can see what's happening. Again, you get a couple points from your calculator. Notice I'm moving down one box, over one box, down one, over one. So I can just keep that pattern going and get all the points on my line. I mean, you can keep using your calculator. Once you see the pattern that's happening, you're good. I'm going to use a ruler here. And let's see, I'm just going to graph this line. I'm not extending this line. Think back to what X represents. X represents our adult tickets. So I can't extend this line. Y represents children's tickets. Negative numbers don't exist in this problem. So this line has a starting point and a stopping point. We're not going beyond. This, I probably should have said this at the beginning. This right here is a solid line, which is what I drew. Y is less than. Less than means you are shading the lower portion of this graph. So I'm shading underneath the line. I have to label it. So I'm going to label this line y less than or equal to negative x plus 200. Now I have to go through and do everything all over again with my second inequality. So on my calculator, negative 2x plus 240. I'm going to go to the table. And let's see here. Go back up to 0. So 0 to 40. That's where I start. 10 is at 220. So 10 is at 220. That's right there. Again, get yourself a couple points. You'll see the pattern. 20 is 200. So at 20, I'm going up to 200. There I go. Again, I'm going down 2 boxes over 1. So I'm going to keep that pattern going. Down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. Keep that pattern going. I'm going to plot all my points. And then I'm going to connect those. Again, it's a solid line, which is good. It's one of the most common mistakes that I make is I draw a solid line and then I'm like, oh no, that's supposed to be dotted. But in this case, I'm actually okay. No arrows. I start and I stop. Y is greater than or equal to. Greater than means I want to shade above this line. So I'm shading above this line. And I have to label it, so I'm just going to draw a little arrow. Y is greater than or equal to negative 2x plus 240. So I've got everything labeled. I'm going to go back, graph the solution. I did that. Label the solution with an S. Your solution is the area that's shaded by both graphs. So my solution is in there. It's in that little triangular section right there. Now, Marta claims that selling 30 adult tickets and 80 child tickets will result in meeting the cinema's goal. Explain whether she is correct or incorrect based on the graph. So I have to give an answer based on the graph. So I'm going to go back to my graph for a second and see what's going on. If she sells 30 adult tickets, adult is X. So 30 adult tickets and 80, where is it? 80 children's tickets. So 80 would be my Y. That would be right here. Would that satisfy the cinema's goal? No. The only ones that satisfy are the ones that are in the solution. The solution are the good numbers. They're the ones that do what we want. So I'm going to say, explain whether she is correct or incorrect. She is incorrect because, and remember, based on the graph. So I have to talk about why she's wrong based on the graph. The points for 30 adult tickets and 80 child tickets do not fall in the solution set. Something along those lines looks good. Okay, so there's your 6-point question here.